All right, and welcome back. We are going to go straight into the semifinals of the top 8 debate for AEG games. Last round, Istanbul just beat out Dice City.
Tiny Towns took out,
Mystic
messed
Vale.
up here. Mystic Vale.
Space Base beat Smash Up.
And Love Letter took out Point Salad. So we have the top 4 games ranked moving on into the semifinals. These are a bit of a juggernaut because these are, honestly, I believe, are AEG standout games. Maybe except for Smash Up.
Right.
I think Smash Up is another one of their flagships, but these 4, Love Letter, of course, no longer AEG, but this was something that kept them in business for quite a while.
Yeah, who thought 16 cards and some cubes in a little bag would make them that much money, which rightfully so. They found a gem with that one. But before we get into Love Letter, let's talk about Istanbul and Tiny Towns.
This one hurts me. I know which one I want to move on, and so I'll probably go ahead and take Tiny Towns since I know how much you adore Istanbul.
Oh my God, Istanbul is so good. It is It is one of the best. It's what put Rudiger Dorn on the map for me. It's so good. And for the longest time, I had people tell me, you need to play Istanbul. It's really good. You need to play Istanbul. Hey, play Istanbul. It's really good. You don't even understand how good Istanbul is. You should play it. And then I'm like, it looks okay. I don't know. I do like Euro games. It's all right. And then I played it, and I'm like, darn it, they were all right.
And not only that, you went and got yourself the big box.
I don't have the big box, actually.
No, you could just have all the expansions. Never mind.
I don't have either expansion.
Really? I thought we played it with an expansion.
Nope. It's that variable. Yes, it is that modular, and it seems that immersive. You just proved my point. Istanbul's going on. No, I'm just kidding. So, no, Istanbul, it's a great game. It really does stand there. It's a simple idea. You're basically just moving around the town of Istanbul. You are getting resources. You are trading them in. You're getting money. You're trying to get gems. There's a lot of different ways that you can control what you're doing, and what makes it neat is it's not a standard Euro where the most points wins. It's first to this objective. First to get these number of gems, and getting gems changes with every player. It's so cool. You can get these tiles that raise up in value as people buy them by trading in goods to get them. You can trade in goods for the gems themselves, which is fairly expensive and fairly chaotic, or you can trade them in for money, which is more common, but then money you can buy you gems, but then you need room to expand the market that you have your little stall, so you go to the Wainwright, but then getting a full cart at the Wainwright will also get you gems. It's so cool. I love how Istanbul really does work. I think personally it would be my vote to move on. I do like Tiny Towns a lot, but I think Istanbul is just a better game.
For me personally, Tiny Towns should move on. And it's just because I've had more fun playing Tiny Town. I played Istanbul once. I enjoyed it, but to me it just felt like another Euro game. It's got some differences, but it's basically you get some set collections, you turn it in for something. You move around the board, you grab some stuff, you turn it in for something else. It's basically a pick up and deliver game without being a pick up and deliver game.
Yeah, in a way.
It's a point salad pick up deliver game in all honesty, because you're doing this, you're collecting these, you're turning it in for gem. However you want to do it. There's different ways you could do it. You could pay for it outright, you could turn the stuff in for a gem, you could collect these certain things for a gem. That's fine. For me, the reason why I like Tiny Town is, one, it's different. I really like the simultaneous play because it moves things a little bit quicker than a lot of games does. Yes, I know you've had some AP prone with it, but
sure, yeah.
I think there's more AP prone in a game like Istanbul than there is. He agrees with Daniel.
Perfect. I couldn't agree more.
So for me, I really do enjoy Tiny Towns for that reason. I could play, as I was saying at that con, when I played it for the first time, I played an 11-person game, and we finished in like 35, 40 minutes. It did not even take that long. I was able to hit a panel right afterwards.
Which makes sense, which makes sense because it's just a multiplayer. The AEG has been playing it during the lockdown every week, and they're probably playing it now, actually, every week on Twitch. Don't go there. Thank you for watching this. No. But I mean, that goes to show, like, it's a roll and write is what it is.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I love roll and
Yeah.
writes. So for me, because of the ease of play and the simplicity, it goes really well. It scales very well. Like I said, I played an 11-player game of it and had a
Right.
blast with it with strangers. You know me, I like to play games with at least one person I know. This way I can be comfortable. But I was playing with 10 other people I do not know, and I had so much fun with it just because I
Yeah.
had to sign up for it, and this is when I could get into it. That
I
was the first time I ever played this game.
I
And I
just
wanted to
feel
buy
that
it right then and there.
I feel like it loses something when you could watch a recording and then play it like as a one player. If somebody just read the cards for like 20 minutes, you know.
I get that.
I just feel
but
it loses something as far as immersion and
I've had much more immersion than this than I did with Istanbul. We only played the 2-player game. I might have more if we played with more people, but the theme matching the mechanism works so well for me in Tiny Towns. The interacting with the other players not so much. Again, because you're playing the solitaire it's multiplayer solitaire. But
Yeah.
the memorable moments, again, I go back to the con. I go back to playing Tiny Towns at the shop and having a great time with it. So to me, a
Right.
lot of this goes down to we're going to have to break it down, and it's going to be hard.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the simple stuff first. Ease of play, Tiny Towns.
Tiny Towns.
Agree. I completely agree with that. Art and
Replay
production.
value.
Okay, replay value. Definitely.
When it goes to
Istanbul.
expandability,
Mm,
it's a wash to me just because both of them come with just a lot of it. Oh, Canadian Collector added a good point to what you were saying about it loses something by doing a recording, or does it add that extra value?
I mean it. I might as well play a video game at that point. That's what I'm saying. Is like that's why it loses it because like I'd rather have a more immersive experience if I'm just gonna play by myself or listening to a recording. Like I don't know that I like the idea of just being able to sit there. Now, player range and scale of time, yes, that's definitely a benefit for that. That's true.
No, that's true. You
Yeah.
can't screw other players over by calling resource they don't need, and they have to play that resource.
Right.
That's the thing we forgot to mention. They have to play the resource, whatever's called. So they have to figure out how they're going to put it in
Right.
their thing without wasting space.
Sure. Minimum number of plays for full experience.
Again, to me, replay value comes down to a wash because I think length of time and scaling well goes to Tiny Towns, hands down.
Yeah.
Because you add more players to, I think Istanbul can hold up to what, 4 or 5?
Yeah, I think 4 or 5.
But
Something
just
like
the
that.
2-player game went a little bit longer because I think there's just so much going on.
Right.
Minimum number of plays for full experience, they're pretty much the same with the expandability inside the base game alone.
Right. Right. But now,
And-
additional content. There is 2 expansions for Istanbul, and both of them were not very positive. Like, they were okay. It's kind of more of the same as what they were. But because of how variable the base game is by itself, that's, I think, why it was a detriment. Whereas, additional content to
Tiny Town, they
Tiny
got
Towns.
one for sure. I know they're getting another one later this year
Yeah.
that adds a new mechanism to it.
Yep.
So to me, the expandability goes to Tiny Town just because
Okay.
they're actually changing something. And the first expansion, people loved.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. So,
Meaningful choices I will give to Istanbul.
Yes.
There's much more meaningful choices there. Game
so
immersions, to me, it has to be Tiny Towns as everything we're going through, other than interacting
theme
with
matching
players.
mechanism and player interaction goes to Istanbul, and let me explain why theme matching the mechanism goes to Istanbul. The goal of the game is to go around and trade at these different stalls and different buildings to gain the favor of that location, basically. And that you really are doing. That's something that you would do in Istanbul. You don't just get resources when building a town. You don't lay these in a perfect grid and then happen to produce buildings by them being in position. It's super unthematic as far as how it works.
All right, I'll give you game immersion. I don't really agree with it, but I see what you're saying.
Right.
My only argument to that is you could do it trading in the Mediterranean, and it would still fit the mechanisms properly.
That's
You're going around to different ports and trading, and then
Isn't Istanbul near the Mediterranean?
Yes, but it's an actual city that isn't on the coast, if I remember
Okay.
correctly.
I may be wrong, but like, I mean, yeah, I mean, but
Well, I'm talking
that
about you
is
could
the
go to the
theme.
port here and then go to the port in Italy and change that stuff. It still would work. It doesn't really match the theme all that much.
Yeah, I'm just saying, yeah, you, we're kind of reiterating the same thing. Yeah, it's not as thematic as it could be. It's just more thematic than, like, I put a piece of glass here, poof, now I have a cathedral. What do you know? Like, it just that doesn't it doesn't make sense to me.
I don't see it, but I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Art and production. Art is better in tiny towns, hands down. The washed out brown that's in Istanbul annoys the bejesus out of me.
Okay, yeah, art. I will give Tiny Towns. I do like the art better in Tiny Towns.
Pieces and components, this is where it's gonna be hard.
It really does go to Tiny Towns for that.
Yeah, just because I'm sitting there thinking,
Yeah, because those buildings are phenomenal.
the buildings are phenomenal.
Yeah.
The gyms are nice, but those are just generic gyms you can get in any game.
Right. Yeah, they really are.
The design, as much as I like Tiny Town, I'll give that to Istanbul just because the way the grid is built and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, it's kind of hokey looking, but
Tiny Town's upsets Istanbul.
Yeah, yeah. Istanbul fought hard, but yeah, it goes to Tiny Towns.
And I think a big part of why Tiny Towns won that is because of how easy it is to play.
Yeah.
Istanbul, I need to play with other people that play Euro-y games, that understand the mechanism. Tiny Towns, I could play with my mom, and she'd probably have a blast doing
it. She didn't feel too stupid after playing it. Oh, man. But
I feel stupid after playing it, but I still enjoy it.
Right. All right. Let's go into the next one. Space Base versus Love Letter. Do we need to debate this?
Space Base.
Yeah, let's just... I mean, I know, like, it sounds like we're gonna do a bias, but let's break it down.
Easy play. They're both really easy to play. I'll give it to Love Letter just because how much simpler it is. Replay value, Space Base.
Yes, replay value, meaningful choices is Space Base, immersion is Space Base, but art and production I would actually give to Love Letter.
I would too. Just the cards.
Yeah.
The cards are a lot nicer. Especially, it depends on which copies you get. I heard the wedding version is beautiful.
It is. It's really nice. Well, I mean, it's mostly the same art, though, but it's a really nice graphic design.
The little guy comes out on top.
Right.
And he's going up against another juggernaut, because I think the way we go through it is 3-2, Space Base.
Yeah. So, yeah. Agreed. So, Space Base would go on just because it is... Now, if Love Letter had like more stuff and it was like a bigger card game but had the same feeling, then it would be much more of a contender. But the fact that it's just a simple filler micro game, it's easier to play, yes, but Space Base is just a better game.
And the thing is, it's not like Space Base is much more complicated than Love Letter.
Right.
Space Base is one of the easiest games to pick up. I have to say that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So now we're going to take a quick pause before we get into our finals, and then we'll reset the video and be back in just a moment.